starting a new tutorials about Hibernate. So here we will be learning new skills about Hibernate. So Hibernate supports JPA annotations, and it is very flexible, and we can configure it using XML uh, uh, and property files as well as programmatically. Here I will explain you the great ways to get you started with the Hibernate frameworks. Now, here we will be focusing on different configurations related for Hibernate, and provide examples of simple XML based mapping as well as JP annotations based on mapping. Here it is a good learning experience with you will be having with different ways to initialize session factory and important components of the Hibernate framework. So let's begin with the definition of Hibernate. Hibernate is an object relational mapping tool for the Java programming languages. Basically, it is built on it's on top of JDBC and address the impedance mismatch. And if we see that in JDBC, we to avoid the repetitive calls, if we want to have with respect to Hibernate, it is more good and comfortable. So that's why this is also called a relational mapping tool. So the use of Hibernate, if we see that it's a type of framework that simplifies the development of Java application to interact with the database. It is an open source, lightweight ORM tool. Hibernate implements the specification of the JPA for the data persistence. So JPA stands for Java Persistence API. ORM is an object relational mapping. Means Hibernate is an ORM tool. It helps to persist the data. So that is one of the use of Hibernate. So if you see that what we are used to do in JDBC, so when we are writing the JDBC code, so JDBC basically stands for Java Database Connectivity, which is a standard Java API. So part of the JDBC is a part of JDK basically. So if you see that when we write the code of the JDBC with respect to connection, so we have the database URL, we have the drivers clarification, and we have the connection where we have the database name and username and password, and then we insert the query, and with the prepared statement we just insert the SQL. So these are the number of tasks which previously we have to do, but as now you can easily connect the Java programs related relational database when you are using JDBC, but executing SQL or MySQL queries in the database, and it is not object oriented. So these are some of the facts about JDBC, that it is not very much helpful while coding, because again and again if you have to insert multiple tables, insert the data in multiple tables. So with respect to JDBC, execution of SQL queries in the database will be gained by making the connections repeatedly. So basically, how the Hibernate then works, that or object relational mapping tool, ORM, which we said. So Hibernate is an ORM relational mapping framework in which, likes all frameworks, we have some layers which coordinates with each other. We have the Java classes and the database tables, and our aim is to build the connection between these two for this Hibernate use ORM techniques in which it maps each Java class entity to the table entity present in the database. Thus, Hibernate is the architecture which is present between the Java object and the database. The main part of the Hibernate is its configuration. There are two parts of the configuration. One of that is of making connection, and the other is of mapping. So we will further investigate in our sessions that which are the mapping components. If you see that Hibernate config.xml, where the database connection is done, and how the dialects of different databases helps to connect the database, and how the Hibernate configuration for the database happens with the configuration config.xml, and how they get the data with respect to entity means table. So in the later session we will all see this. So keep tracking me on the Hibernate series. We are going to have the good coding skills here also with respect to Hibernate. Thank you.